release on the findings of a 3-year study of youth online funded by the MacArthur Foundation. And our message in our press release was pretty simple. It was that young people were encountering a whole host of diverse and interesting learning experiences online. What we found, though, that was interesting about the public uptake of our work was that the focus tended to be not so much on learning opportunities, but on intergenerational tension. So here's the headline from the local paper here in Silicon Valley. On the adult side of the equation, we're often worried that social network sites, online peer interactions are creating escalating and negative peer pressure for kids. As parents, we often think of video games as mind-numbing addictions. But on the kids' side of the equation, the online world more and more is where they go to first for information, for social connection, and for learning. I think that there is a generational divide in how we are viewing the online world. A lot of us give lip service to the fact that young people are the digital innovators, but when it really comes down to it, are we taking seriously the kind of learning that they're pursuing online when they're going by their own learning agendas and when they're able to use technologies with freedom in the ways that they want to use it? A lot of times as adults, what we're worried about and what we think about is how we limit and monitor kids' access to online worlds. And we think about how technology can reinforce our existing adult-centered learning agendas and institutions rather than thinking of it from the kids' point of view. So I think it's very important that we bridge this generation gap and that we start reframing these issues. So what I want to argue is that kids' online peer spaces have tremendous potential as drivers of learning in a digital and network age. In fact, I would go so far as to say that peer-based social exchange is the key to unlocking the full potential of learning in a digital age. Now, what do I mean by this? So, let me give you an example. As parents, we may read an occasional expert parenting book, but where do we go to when we really want advice, feedback? When we want tips about parenting, we usually go to our peers, to our fellow parents. As adult professionals, the place we go first is our peer networks of fellow professionals for advice, feedback, and information. I think kids are no different. Look at how kids engage with a game like Pokemon in their peer networks, the kind of engagement they bring to Yu-Gi-Oh!, to team sports. This is peer-based engagement that drives learning, and it's just how we learn as adult professionals in our everyday lives. This is really what I mean by the power of peer-based learning. So I think we can do much more to leverage digital and networked media in support of accessible, learner-centered forms of public education. But it really means reframing the conversation. So in the next 8 minutes I have, I'm going to try to convince you of this by giving you a few examples, just 2 examples from our research and suggesting where we might go from there. So I want to start with Clarissa. Clarissa is a teen who one of the researchers of our study, CJ Pascoe, wrote about. And she comes from a working class home here in the Bay Area, and she's aspiring to be a writer. And she participates in an online role-playing board called Faraway Lands with a few of her friends from school. So to join the site, the participant has to write a lengthy character application that they submit to the moderator for approval. And these character applications describe the character, the backstory, their race, where they come from. And Clarissa stayed up all night to write her first character application. She submitted it to the site, and she got glowing reviews from the moderator and started to participate. So what she does on the site is really do role-playing with peers, and she receives ongoing feedback, recognition, and she gives feedback and critique to other participants as well. So Faraway Lands has become a place where she can hang out with some of her friends from school, but it also extends her networks quite dramatically because she's participating with kids from all over the country, and she even has a collaborator in Spain that she's working on a role-playing scenario with. So this is some text that I excerpted from another role-playing board. And what I want to highlight here is the ethic of reciprocity that you see in these peer-based learning environments. Participants are both writers and critics of each other's work. And they take their writing very seriously. There's really a sort of ethic of constant critique and feedback that they give to each other. And the site administrators have developed a set of policies, standards, and assessments that are key to this peer-based ecology. Now, Clarissa sees that the writing that she does here as very different from the writing that she does in school. At the same time, the skills that she picked up in online role-playing have served her very well in school. For one of her school assignments, she chose to write a 100-page screenplay based on one of her characters on Faraway Lands. And in her college applications, she wrote about her role-playing experiences as preparation for her aspiration to be a screenwriter. And she actually submitted creative writing samples from her online role-playing in her college applications. She was admitted to both Emerson and Chapman, and she feels that those writing samples were a huge part of why she got admitted.